part of the no-cut program for us is that kids are never going to really grow as artists unless they have the experience, unless they have those opportunities on stage. And we see that where a kid comes in and they can't match pitch, and 2 or 3 shows later they're vying for those lead parts because number one, they've got the confidence. Number two, they've gotten skills. And, theater and the arts is something that you grow with the more you do it.
Sure.
And so I think that's part of our philosophy of no-cut program is kids got to have those opportunities to be able to do those things if we want to see the arts continue.
Back on the Around the Southside podcast. I hope you're doing well. I am Terry. I'm your host and thrilled to be with you once again. And I'm going to bring you today a biased interview. And it's totally biased because my family has been involved with Creative Grounds Fine Arts Academy for many, many years. My kids, all 3 have been in it. I've had nieces, nephews, friends, a ton of people that I know and love are in this organization. It is a community theater arts organization. You're going to hear all about it. We got to sit down on stage at Creative Grounds with Mark and Katie Landis. They are the husband and wife founders of Creative Grounds. You're going to hear all about the story of how they got started. You're going to hear about their philosophies, and I just love how open, how loving, how accepting this group is, and all the work they do for kids to grow and belong and thrive in this community theater organization. So let's get right to it. It's a fun conversation, and please enjoy this conversation with Mark and Katie Landis of Creative Grounds Fine Arts Academy in Greenwood. Mark and Katie Landis, founders of Creative Grounds Fine Arts Academy. Thank you guys for meeting with me today and chatting through all this in the midst of a full day-long, week-long camp that you've got.
Absolutely. It's a great day.
How many kids are running around today?
We have 41 out there, plus our staff and student helpers.
That's fantastic. Just a nice day camp. So when you hear the delightful sounds of budding thespians, you'll know that we are really doing this right here in the midst of the action, right? That's fun.
Yep.
That's a good time. Okay, so I obviously, we've spoken many times. I am extremely biased about this program because all 3 of my kids went through, nieces, nephews, everyone I've ever known, I have encouraged to come through Creative Grounds Fine Arts Academy. But give me kind of the origin story of this group.
How origin story do you really want,
Whatever
Terry?
feels right to you, buddy. Whatever feels right.
We started back in 2014
Yes.
As a ministry of Center Grove Church.
Yeah.
We did that as a ministry of the church for 5 years, roughly.
Okay.
We took it out in 2018.
Wait.
So I guess that was 4 years.
Going back, first show you ever did was what?
Godspell Junior.
Godspell Junior. At what
we
point?
had 30 kids in that show.
30. So at what point was Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat? Because that was my first interaction with you guys.
So it was Godspell, then Music Man, Godspell, then Shrek, then Music Man, then Annie and Mulan. So then the following spring was Joseph and Wizard of Oz.
And
they
that
were
would be
combined.
2.
So there'd be 6, is that 6-ish
Year
shows?
3, yeah.
And so, year 3. Okay.
Yeah, was it year 3?
Kind of. Godspell was 1 year, and then the next season we did Shrek and Music Man, and then it was the next season after that. So technically the 3rd season, but really it was like 2.5 years.
And let me just say, guys, they are announcing these shows off the top of the dome. No notes. They just have memorized all 180 shows you've done in order. Recite them now. Let's go. No, okay. So you were part of the church for the first few years, right?
Yep.
And okay, so go on from there.
So I left the church as the worship pastor and the lead of the organization, and we took it out as a nonprofit. Kate and I founded it individually.
So you had deep problems with the church. Is that what I'm hearing?
No. That seems like one of those.
The gotcha moment.
Gotcha moments.
It's a hard-hitting podcast. It's a hard-hitting podcast. No. So
No.
But honestly, you
We
probably
had outgrown
needed,
it.
yes, you needed more, you guys even probably didn't have time to work the full-time job and
run this organization given the size it was at that time.
Yeah, by the time we got into that point, we had Mary Poppins that spring, and we had 200 students audition for the show.
And it's a no-cut program,
No-cut
so they're all in.
They're all in.
That's amazing.
So
just the 200
no-cut?
kids.
We're
It's
no-cut.
It's a 200-person cast, and they're like, okay, I
Well,
guess we should.
I guess we
maybe
should,
maybe we should think about cutting people.
Well,
No.
the church had made a clear statement to me prior to that semester that I was only allowed to do one fall, one spring.
Yeah.
And that's why we were at the position we were
Right,
in.
right.
So we had to jump out on our own so that we could continue to grow the program.
Sure.
We had totally outgrown what they were willing to let us do.
Yes.
And so we took it off and we said, okay, we're going to jump.
Yeah.
Leave behind
Not
guaranteed.
scary at all.
Yeah, he came home and said, I think we need to.
Think it's time?
I think it's time to take this out. And I
Yeah.
said, no. And then I walked into the rehearsal where the sanctuary was completely full.
Yeah.
For the first rehearsal of Mary Poppins. And I looked at him and said, okay,
Yeah.
let's jump. Let's see where
Yes.
this goes.
Wow.
So
Crazy. Was that how nervous were you guys? How scary was it to be like, okay, we're gonna like just take this leap and figure it out as we go, build the plane as we fly it, as Christian always says. How was that?
And we were doing a lot of that all the way from the founding of the organization because we didn't anticipate going from 30 kids to 50 to 100
Right.
in the first 3 shows.
Right. Wow.
And so we were really, truly building the plane at 30,000 feet, trying to put the fuselage on the outside.
Right, sure.
And then put all the mechanics in place to be able to keep us in the air.
Right.
I was collecting hardware boxes in case we ended up on the street.
That's right. That's right. Just in case.
Yeah.
Just in case.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
When we left the church, it was a scary moment. We had to take. I was leaving 2/3 of our family income behind. That was a guaranteed income from the church, and taking the organization out.
Yeah.
As a nonprofit, brand new.
Sure.
Yes, it had a history, right? We had several years of positive growth as well as positive use of funds. We never spent more than we had coming
Right.
in.
Sure.
And so it was not a hardship on the church
Yeah.
throughout those years.
Right.
But we were going to have to restructure the funding so that we could guarantee some sort of pay to me.
Sure.
And then first year, there was times where I didn't get paid right away.
Yeah.
It was based on when we had the funds, whether
Right.
or not I could be paid at that time.
Sure.
But-
and then also creation of a board of directors, right?
Right.
Because you don't have the church oversight now. Like you're kind of creating the whole thing, and all of that, and just so much unknown. But sometimes the best things in life are when you leap into the unknown and build the plane as you fly it, right?
Into the unknown.
No, I know.
Oh,
that's
there
what
they
I was
go.
thinking.
There they go. No.
Everything in
You
life.
can't
is
sing any more of
musical.
that because we don't have the rights
Right.
for this
That's
podcast.
it.
Just that little snippet.
No performance piece in this.
Disney,
No.
we're so sorry about that. It was an accident.
And they're really litigious, by the way.
please don't shut us down, please. No, that's great. So okay, so now you're full on 501c3.
Yep.
And I also remember those days before, now we've got, and we'll talk about this, you've got this spot here at the Greenwood Park Mall. Before that, I remember it was this rehearsal is at this church, this rehearsal is at that building, performances are at this school. And I can't imagine just the logistics of, we've got 200 kids, we've got to have all these rehearsals, but we don't have a dedicated space that's just
Yeah.
ours. So
Yeah.
that's insane.
For the first couple of years before COVID, from 18 through till 20, we went from Rockland Christian Church to New Hope Church to
We are so grateful that
Southland
those.
Community Church, that they all partnered with us throughout the process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
We're
it was
grateful
really
for those
helpful.
churches that saw our vision and that when we took that leap that supported us just in many ways, from rehearsal spaces to just praying for our family and just we had a lot of church support when we walked away from the community.
Yeah.
So
That's amazing. That's really good. So, so we continue to rock through shows. The program continues to grow, and then now we end up here with this space at the mall. But before that, you guys were dealing with COVID and trying to put on performances and stay alive as an organization, as a nonprofit, through the midst of this time when we're all on lockdown and stuff. So, how did we navigate all that?
Well, COVID, we started with, as soon as lockdown happened, the week before that
March 7th.
was our gala.
Yes.
Oh, no, on March
and-
7th.
Yes.
March
March
7th.
7th.
COVID year.
It was.
Of COVID
No.
year
Yeah.
was our
That's the
gala,
worst.
and we held it, in its entirety. We raised, I think that year we raised like $8,000. And that $8,000 sustained us through March, April, and May.
Yeah. Wow.
We were able to, with the money we already had in the bank plus that money, we were able to make it through those 3 months. And during that process, we had to shut down, obviously, like everybody else did. But then we did online rehearsals and we did Zoom rehearsals.
Yeah.
Those were fun.
You're behind tempo. Like, oh, it's a satellite delay. It's because my voice is going into space and then back down to Earth.
Right.
That's why. That's how. I don't even understand how you can do that over Zoom.
It was not easy.
It was more of a, we hit play, you sing it.
Yeah.
We hope that you're singing it right because you can't let us hear it back.
So you had everybody muted.
They were all
Everybody's on
muted.
mute and just go along with it.
Going along.
And
then
I
when
learned,
when it was songs, that's how we had to do it. Now, when it was script,
Yeah.
they could unmute and do their lines,
Sure,
and we
okay.
could go through this stuff. But if it was a song,
Yeah.
I had to hit play on my side,
Yeah.
and they had to just sing, and we had to watch their
Right.
mouths and
Yes.
see, are they singing or are they
Yeah.
not?
Wow.
And then we ended up out at the winery
Yes. At
At the
Mallow Run.
Sycamore.
Yeah.
and did
For
everything out there for
performances.
performances, but we also did rehearsals out at the Sycamore.
Yeah.
We did one rehearsal, but when it was still really unknown about everything, where we brought the kids out and they stayed in their cars. It happened to be the coldest morning in May ever, and that in fact there was frost on the grapes that morning at the winery. But we put the kids in their cars, and Mark was up on 100 or humongous
That's
20-foot
amazing.
ladder.
20-foot ladder above the parking
Like a
lot,
marching
and we
band
had
almost.
speakers
Yeah.
out, and the kids were in the cars. It was the
man.
first time we were able to get the kids back to in person since.
Since March.
Since it all
Since
started.
March.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was in May. And that was a real interesting experience. And then from there, we were able to start just rehearsing amongst the grapes.
Yeah.
we
right.
rehearsed outside.
Yeah, sure. That's crazy. And then did shows out at Mallow
Did shows
Run
out at
and all
Mallow
that.
Run, and then in November we were like, okay, we've got to have a new space that can be ours. It's getting colder.
Yes.
We were rehearsing in a shelter house and keeping campfires going to keep the kids warm.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. Then we got this space here at the mall
Yeah.
and opened it up in December of 2020.
2020. So coming up on 3 years then here in the mall, which has been really nice because you can actually do things like what we're doing today, like day-long camps, week-long camps. You don't have to figure out venue space, and now you
Right.
kind of have the freedom to make it your
Right.
own. How's it been here at the mall?
It's been a really good experience for the most part. I mean, every place you go is going to have moments where you
cons,
go,
right?
okay,
Sure.
we got to figure out how to make this work.
Sure.
But as we always say, we're in the business of trying to make everything work.
Sure.
Because that's what you do in theater. You make things work.
The show must go on.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I
and
love it.
so it's been great. We've been able to do camps here,
Yeah.
and we partnered with local businesses like Cake Bake Creations inside. So during our camp weeks, one of the days the kids go in and decorate a
Oh, yeah,
cupcake
yeah.
every week.
That's awesome.
And so that gives them some visual for our kids to be
Sure.
able to know where they are and get to know them a little bit.
Sure. So do you guys know from the beginning, from those first shows to now, how many different shows have you done? He's reaching for the phone. Do we know
I
that?
think it's 38, but
I
I'm
think
not
it's
sure.
30.
30,
Yeah, it's
30, upper 30s is what we've
It doesn't
done.
count. That doesn't count like our summer camp
Right.
or our dinner theater productions that we've written or any of that. It's just
Just the regular
we're at
shows.
38.
regular shows. They're
38. Okay, that's fantastic. And I'm guessing probably over 1,000 kids through at this point, right?
Probably more.
I would say more than that at this
I
point.
know
we
this
have
semester.
just last semester we had 282 kids
Wow.
in one semester. That
Which
were
is why you were doing
individuals.
3 shows a semester,
4 shows a
shows a
semester.
semester.
Last semester we did 4.
Yeah, so just to have the opportunities, because you are a no-cut program. So let's talk about that, right? Like I think one of the things that that people are nervous about when they are going to be part of a show is you go through the auditions and will I even make it? The nice thing for you guys is you're in the show, right? So
Absolutely.
tell us how that came about, even especially back when it was 200 kids and you're like, well, we're not cutting anybody.
I think we really have a heart and passion that kids need to experience the arts, and there's just not a lot of schools are really competitive, and a lot of in a lot of places, and so we just want to give every kid the opportunity to experience what it feels like to be on stage, what it feels like to be in an ensemble, and all of those kind of things.
There's always a need for a tree or a bush.
Always.
Always.
That's
Well, and I don't like seeing kids upset, and
Sure.
I really have a hard time breaking children's hearts.
Yeah.
And so,
But you can in a pinch. It sounds
Stop
like
it, Chris.
It sounds like it.
Yes, he can.
Says hard time doing it.
I kind of have to.
He didn't say no. He didn't
That's
say he
right.
doesn't
Every
do it.
time we have a casting, I'm
Yeah.
breaking a
Yeah,
child's
that's
heart.
true.
That's true.
And
Somebody
so,
always gets the part. Somebody
yeah,
else-
Right.
I'm not going to make every child happy.
Right, sure.
No matter what I do. So, I do every once in a while. I have to break the heart, but
Yeah.
it's at least a tad bit better for me when I know that I'm not kicking them out of the show.
Yes, right.
And there was a time where the directing teams would always give me a hard time because I'd set the limit and then I'd extend the limit because we had a full crowd and
Yeah.
and everything was full and there was no place for anybody to go, and I'd go, oh, and that's kind of how the 200 happened.
Yeah, sure.
Was I think I had 150 at one point was our limit, and
Yeah.
then it
Just kept
was.
opening it.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, we have enough, so we'll just do 170.
Right.
And then it was, oh my gosh, we have another 20 people wanting to do this. Okay,
Right.
185. Oh, wait. I got 5 more. And I got 15 out there that are still wanting on the
Yeah.
waiting list.
Right.
Sure, we'll let all 200 of them audition. And we did.
Yeah.
And it's because of me being a softie.
Right, sure.
Well, and I think part of the no cut program for us is that kids are never going to really grow as artists unless they have the experience.
Sure.
Unless they have those opportunities on stage. And we see that where a kid comes in and they can't match pitch, and 2 or 3 shows later they're vying for those lead parts.
Yeah.
Because number one, they've got the confidence. Number two, they've gotten skills. And
Yeah.
theater and the arts is something that you grow with the more you do it.
Sure.
And so I think that's part of our philosophy of no cut program is kids got to have those opportunities to be able to do those things if we want to see the arts continue.
Yeah, I love that. I think and it's been neat from my standpoint as someone in the audience now for many years, watching kids grow up and get better and take that next step. And then you see them in a featured role in a show and you're like, wow, they have arrived into kind of who they are as an artist and all that.
Yeah.
It's really neat to see that happen. The other thing I think is neat is that you guys being no cut, I think, just reflects that the theater community is inclusive. It's open to all, and there's a place for everybody in the theater. And it doesn't matter. You think about something like sports, and I love sports. I'm a big sports guy, but you have to have a certain baseline athleticism, or you're not going to be able to find your place on the team.
Yeah.
Theater is bring whoever you are, your whole self, to this, and there is a place for you in this organization, And so I love that that's kind of the philosophy and how you guys do that. And I think it also speaks to, and I want you guys to comment on this, your mission, what you're about. Yes, we care about the shows, and yes, we want to see them grow as artists, but your focus is how do we mentor these kids and how do we grow them? So talk about that a little bit.
Our building individuals up through fostering relationships and growing artists. That's our motto, per se. And it's all about seeing those kids where they are, growing them together as individuals as well as an ensemble, and elevating them to the next step, but mentoring them through the process. We have student leadership team that, because we've grown so big, we decided it was a good idea, ding, 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 to bring in some students that apply to be a part of the student leadership team. We train them how to be a leader,
Sure.
how to be a servant leader even, and then take them along the path, because we can't touch every child's life through 280 some kids,
Yeah.
but we can through the avenue of the second degree,
Yes.
right?
Yes, that's
So-
right.
And I think the mentorship is really something we've worked hard to make part of the culture. So where it's not even just coming from Mark and I, it's from the moms that are in there braiding hair in the makeup room.
Yeah.
It trickles down to our costume person. She trickles down into those costume parents, and then those costume parents are back there just building into the kids. And it really becomes a village. We've seen the parents grow just as much as the kids through this process in friendships and relationships and those kind of things.
Yeah.
And that's exciting. It's really neat to see these parents take ownership of pieces of the program too.
Sure. Yeah.
And do you have are you training kids in tech positions as well?
So I pull them across into the lighting world a lot more often than we do
Yeah.
sound, just because sound can be so much more finicky. as we all are experiencing, right?
Sure.
Sound can be finicky.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I got involved in theater.
Yeah.
Like I was
On the
always,
tech
I mean,
side.
I did some performance, but I just found myself back in the sound effects and lighting, and it was great because you're just as much of a part as anybody else.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Set
And then
design.
we have students on the crew. We always have crew for the kids.
Yep.
But the lights is where I usually put students in the back.
And you even have kids that will student direct as well, right? Like
Yeah.
so even from that, which is huge because now they're in a real leadership position and they're figuring out how do I organize something that's this large and how do I think through, kind of that project management side of things and managing people and all that. It's just such a great opportunity for them.
When they also get to see us in a different light too.
Sure, yeah.
Because they've worked with us as a student, but on a student director side, we're going to treat them as a professional,
Right.
in a different way.
Yeah.
They're a professional actor, but now they're a professional director in our minds.
Sure.
And we mentor them in that way, and have them doing things that just any one of us would be doing.
Yeah.
I mean, they get given a scene to work with a particular group and work through that scene. Kate does that a lot of times.
I love it.
We also have had the opportunity in the last couple months of other places reaching out to us for interns. So we've just been we've had opportunities to mentor, like with Victory College Prep. It's one of the magnet charter schools.
Yeah.
We've had interns here for the last several years, but each semester we have about 4 of them that are here every other Friday.
Yeah.
That we work with. This summer we're working with the Jobs for Americans Graduates program. We have an intern from Warren Township that's in working with us. We have an IUPUI graduate. IUPUI? No.
She's IU
Graduate.
program in music technology.
Oh, cool.
Also helping
Wow.
this summer. So we're seeing more and more opportunities for us to be able to continue to mentor not just our own students, but seeing able to make a bigger impact in the community.
I love it. I love it. That's so awesome. Let me ask this question. I'm not going to hold you to this, but if you guys, we look into the future, what is in your heart or in your mind or just a dream of like where you would like to take this place? And that could be as big or as small as you want to answer. I'm just curious about what's the vision or what are you excited about for the next chapter?
So as an organization, we are constantly thinking about what's the next steps. And immediately what our next steps are, we're trying to get an additional storefront here at the Greenwood Park Mall, so that we can have an additional rehearsals venue, and green room space when we're doing shows.
Sure.
So we're actually actively working on that, and we'll know something this week.
Oh, wow.
On getting an additional storefront for a short-term lease, just to see how it works as well as cost.
Yeah.
After that, our biggest dream would be to have our own space that is ours and ours alone.
Sure.
We're not beholden to a lease to the mall or anybody else. And we have a venue for performance, but we also have space for rehearsals for dance classes. We have a rehearsal black box theater. So a big space for big theater stuff, a small space for small stuff. The ability to have orchestra or band rehearsals that happen in our space in preparation for a performance that we do, but it is students, not just the adults that we bring in for our orchestras when we have our full productions, but bringing in students and mentoring them as well in that avenue.
Yeah.
Space that is more community driven, to be able to allow outside groups to have rehearsal space, performance space. We know how hard it is as an arts organization to find those recital halls, to find those places to be able to do things. And so I think our big dream would be to be able to be a center for the arts on the South Side, not just for us, but to be able to reach out to other groups and other people that are trying to make the arts grow on the South Side.
Yeah. And obviously your numbers growing has shown that there's a need for arts organizations on the South Side, and you guys obviously at the forefront, but if you continue, you can even more kind of be that beacon for arts on the South Side.
I was just going to ask if are there opportunities with the city of Greenwood or wherever?
As a member of the Greater Greenwood Arts Council, I know that the city is working towards some things, but that is not on their radar. It's been brought to them as an option. Center for the Arts has been on their list of things, but it is not a priority for the city at this time.
Mm-hmm. As far as next steps, people that are interested, they want to learn more, where do they find you guys? How do we do this?
Go to cgfinearts.org.
Yeah.
That's the number one place to find information on our Facebook page, so facebook.com/cgfinearts.
Yeah.
Everything is CG Fine Arts. And so find us on Facebook. If you are wanting to enroll your student, we encourage you to join our closed group.
Yeah.
That is for parents and students within the organization so that we can share information that's more personal.
Sure.
And keep kids safe, because we do have students that are in the foster care program. And so we're very careful about what we post on our main page.
Sure.
With pictures. But then on the closed group, it might be a little bit more freely given, just because that's only those within our organization.
Yeah.
So join the closed group. Those are ways that you can get information right away. We usually post in those 3 avenues every single time we have shows coming up.
Yeah, sure.
So,
and not just kids to adults, there's opportunities for adult performers. Courtney, it's time. It's time for you to step up. Listen, Courtney. No. Listen, my role is best served in the crowd, cheering and applauding and just crying during the bows every time. But Courtney has a background in theater, and I'm going to convince her to be in one of the shows sometime.
Yeah.
She does have a background in theater.
Yes, she's really good. In fact, Courtney, do you have a little audition? Do you have like a quick 60-second audition?
Real quick?
No,
You gonna sing?
No. She's got
I'm
nothing.
gonna dance. Nothing.
Well, we don't have the rights for the music, so she can't sing.
She can't sing.
Maybe when the podcast is over. No. Mark and Katie, this was so much fun. I appreciate you sharing the story. And cgfinearts.org for those of you that want to learn more about the program. Guys, thank you so much for having us today.
Not a problem. Thanks for having us.
Thanks.